I am Precious Amayo. Let's start off in Canada, where an 18-year-old has been named as a suspect in a shooting that killed 8 people and injured dozens more in British Columbia in Canada. Police said Jesse Varutzila was found dead at the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot injury. The motive for the attack is not yet known. 6 people were killed and at least 25 others were injured at Tumbleweed Secondary School. 2 others, the 39-year-old mother of the suspect and his 11-year-old stepbrother, were found dead at a nearby home. The victims at the school were a 39-year-old female educator, 3 female students, all aged 12, and 2 male students, one aged 12 and the other 13. Deputy Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Dwayne MacDonald, says the shooting at the nearby home occurred first, then the suspect went to the school. According to him, the suspect previously had a valid gun license that had since expired. He was born a biological male who identified himself as a woman. Right, I'll be having a deeper look into this issue with Global Affairs analyst Kunle Falowo. He joins me from Indianapolis in the U.S. Good to have you join us, Kunle.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, this is something that the U.S. grapples with from time to time, even though that we understand that the numbers have dropped. But it's very rare in Canada. I mean, mass shootings are rare. I just want to ask you what to make of this before we look at this even more broadly.
Absolutely. So in Canada, I know a lot of people are aware of 2020, which was the last occurrence of mass shooting. About 23 people died due to that incident. And when we go a little back, in 2017, we had another similar occurrence where a gunman went to a mosque and took the life of about 6 people. Now, 2 of these individuals were sentenced to life imprisonment, especially in advanced countries, industrialized nations, there tend to be a lot of gun-related issues and a lot of issues surrounding homicide, most especially. But I wouldn't be quick to jump to the bandwagon of saying this is an epidemic in Canada. There is always issues concerning mental health, which is kind of very important to address. But as it is, out of about 10 countries, according to recent data, it shows that we don't tend to see a lot of incidents related to gun violence in Canada compared to other advanced countries. But that, nonetheless, that's not to say there isn't fundamental issues to be looked at when concerning gun-related issues, particularly in this Canada as for today.
So one of the things that I have also noticed is that we're also now seeing mass shootings in countries where it is rare, not just Canada. Remember the Bondi Beach, sadly, mass shooting as well in Australia, where it is also very rare. What exactly do you think is going on?
It's a culmination of a lot of things. For example, when we look at this particular young individual, there is a very strong case of mental health illness, just like you just identified. He was born a male, transitioned to become a female, and that process, if a child or that particular individual shows issues related to mental health, instability, and by the way, the police in that area that he lives, they're quite familiar with his case. He's a he appears like a troubled individual. So he's familiar with the police authorities in that area, and they know that he's got some problems. And not only that, he's got some issues and surrounding that situation. So most definitely looking at that, mental health issues plays a major role in the entire process. And, and this is not just 1 out of 100, because this happens in every part of other advanced countries where young teens and individuals tend to feel that they are another sex and they switch and they want to transition to become something else. But the underlying problem is some family members don't take to accept that, accept that reality, and some individuals who are not familiar with the process will bully them and insult them, and that will create some more issues with that individual, and it kind of escalates because they're not getting the support that they need. And
And that's
um,
where
you know,
I want to quickly comment because you've said some things I want us to unpack. One of them is the demography of those who are involved in this, the suspects, of this mass shooting. So most times are really young people. We're looking at as young as teenagers. And one wonders, what drives a teenager to want to take other lives? Is it pressure? Is it indoctrination? Some of them we've seen, for example, the Bondi Beach shooting in Australia was simply a hate crime. But how do we, how do we unpack this issue, especially when it has to do with really young people?
technology, social media has become one of those things that we need to pay attention to, especially parents. There seems to be a lot of misinformation emanating from social media, and there's a bounty of confirmation bias when you go in there. Whatever you want to believe, there are a lot of evidences that will back up your claim. It's as bad as that. So when we need to pay closer attention, not only parents, um, states governments, federal government, they need to pay close attention to social media and how it relates to mental health. Like I said, there's so many information out there that it's not being verified. A lot of people don't do a great, especially teens, they do not do a great job at verifying information, and some of them tend to run with it, which is very unfortunate. So as parents or guardian, it's very important that we take a look at what the teens or our kids are consuming on a daily and regular basis on social media, because that plays a very instrumental role in their life as they develop and grow mentally.
And the second thing is, we also find that I really like that you said, whatever you want to believe, you'll find evidence to back up your claim. But I also wanted to ask you about the fact that some of these countries, especially Canada and Australia, have very strict gun laws. And yet we find that most recently, they are the two countries with mass shooting. What does that say? Because some people would tell you guns don't kill people, it's people who kill people. But so, let's just look at that in that context.
Valid point. So Canada, for example, do have stricter gun laws, way more than America, for example. Now, another instance is this individual do have a license to carry, and other than that, the federal government, which is the bigger arm than the state government, tend to run gun laws and regulation in Canada. Now, still in Canada, there were not too long ago, there was a buyback program, a buyback gun program that allows for individuals who do not have license to own a firearm to return those firearms to the government, and in exchange, they get paid or compensated for it. Now, the anticipation was about 200 guns in that particular community, but they ended up um, making just about 26 guns that was returned to the authorities, as against they projected over 200 guns. Now, this is not to say that there isn't some issues surrounding gun and firearms in those places, especially advanced world. But it's also very important to point out that, particularly in Canada, the rate of gun related incidences compared to other advanced countries are quite little, but that's not to say uh, they don't struggle with gun related issues, especially homicides. The level of connection between homicidal crimes and in connection with guns, it's on the high side in Canada, but um, it cannot be looked at independently without other related issues, because we're looking at mental health, social media, parenting, uh, collaborations with individuals, education, friends, peers. It's a lot of other issues that is connected to it. So just like you said, I mean, technically, a gun will not kill somebody without somebody operating it, but we also do need to understand that there are other issues connected to it. So it appears apparently that strict gun laws is not going to be the solution to the entire problem. There are other problems that needs to be addressed aside from just having strict laws for guns.
Absolutely. Great point you make there. Having a three-pronged approach, stricter gun laws, dealing with mental health issues, as well as dealing with the exposure and indoctrination issues. Thank you so much for talking to us as always. Global Affairs analyst Kunle Falowo. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.